All right, so that brings us into Saw 5. Yeah. God, so they're starting to all run together now. I think this is the one where we get most of Hoffman's backstory.
This is the Hoffman backstory. Yes, this is where I started running into problems when you called me today. So,
and I like this one too. I liked not necessarily the whole overarching thing because it's almost like two stories in this one. You've got the Hoffman and Strom shit, and then you have the stuff going on in the game. I like the game in this one.
See that I like the idea of the game, and I'm not trying to come off smart. I really am not. But the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh, you guys just work together. Stop killing each other.
Oh yeah.
Drove me nuts, but it was nice to see Megan Good before she was relatively famous in this one. And I mean, I know we haven't talked about him yet, but Mark Rolston, because I mean, he played Boggs in Shawshank Redemption, so always good to see him. Here's the thing: who'd you like better, Charles or Malik?
Which one was which? Hold on.
Charles was like the pretentious guy. Malik was the guy that didn't die first.
Okay, so Malik's the guy who lives, and Charles is the guy who dies.
Yes,
Charles. And like I was surprised when they actually fucking took him out.
I thought
almost right away.
Yeah, like I liked Charles, and yes, he was a bit of a douche, but he was also the one thinking.
Yeah.
And they took him out, and I was like, so you don't want anybody smart, okay? And then they had, who was it? They had Britt turn her back on Luba in the electric current bathtub thing. I'm like, wow, you guys are just making bad decision after bad decision, which, that's a horror, thing, but still, like, it was actually kind of obnoxious how dumb they were, really. Like,
yeah, and like one of the things that people say, and I would have to agree with them on this though, is like the game factors nowhere into any of the rest of the fucking story.
Agreed. The only thing it does is Rolston finds Brit, right? Like towards the end, that was like,
yeah.
Otherwise, it was just like, well, we gotta have some kind of cool thing, so let's just do this.
We have to find something to frame Strom for.
I mean, all right, correct me if I'm wrong here, but really the best part of this whole film is when John is just talking down to fucking Hoffman and being like, you don't use whatever, you use this kind of steel for a blade. Like, he was just like, like the whole shotgun thing that, wasn't going to go off. Like, I loved those two just on screen together. That was probably my favorite part of the whole film, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like this one, but most of the time this is actually probably, I'm going to just straight up say it was probably my second least favorite of them, and a lot of that has to do with Strom.
Yep. The one thing I like about it though is like the job that he does when he's still got recovering from the trach that he gives himself and he's talking weird. I'm like, for a dude who acts as shitty as he did, I didn't think that like he would do a good job of like actually portraying somebody who's fucking injured. Yeah.
All right. So this is something I actually did. How does it work? How? All right. Can you explain to me? Because this is not my field of expertise. But how the hell do you still breathe when he did that? Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, don't breathe through my mouth or nose. Like, I tried like just using the muscles that I would think, and I'm like, I don't know how I would even do this.
I don't know because I've never done it, but I know that it does work because that's how you save people who are choking.
Right? Yeah. It's just a weird. I don't know, like if you think about it and you consciously say I'm not going to breathe through my mouth or nose, I can't use them, and try to like use like your chest muscle or neck muscle, it's a weird sensation, dude.
And then, okay, here's another question for you. Right, at the end, the very end, when Hoffman's going through and he goes into the room that Strom's hiding, you know, what do you think his intentions were? Because, like, what if Strom doesn't throw him in the fucking coffin? What if Strom, you know, listens to him and jumps in the coffin? Is Hoffman going to be like, oh shit, I got to run out the door really quick?
That was such poor writing because exactly, like, he doesn't. I mean, yes, he probably has a good inkling of what Strom's going to do, but you don't. At that point in the game, you're the one that's running this shit. John's not around anymore, so you're the one running this shit, and you're all write yourself into that kind of a corner? No, you would never put yourself in that kind of a corner. It's just,
yeah.
That was really just happenstance. We had to write something, and we did a poor job of it. And I gotta say though, completely satisfying watching Strom get fucking crushed. So satisfying.
That's probably the second most brutal death in the series, in my opinion.
How does his hand survive though? Like, we know that the hand survives in part 6. I'm like, didn't the whole thing supposedly just completely crush? So how
plot armor?
Yeah, I don't know. I found that weird.
Plot armor. They needed fingerprints to. Yeah.
This is the one that I have the least amount of notes on, and there's a rhyme and reason why, because I just.
So all right. And I think this is one of the things we were going to talk about, but like, are you going to go into like which ones we would like potentially think about how to survive?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. We'll come back to stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, was this this? All right. This also annoyed me. Like at the end of the individual, like the test with the 5 people that came down to 2 people. Mm-hmm. I don't. Could you ever picture yourself doing that to your arm? Like, is that something you think that you could do?
Let's come back to that one. That was exactly what I was going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. I have nothing left to add because as I said, this is my second least favorite.
All right. And then we get to Saw 6, which for being the 6th in a fucking franchise is surprisingly interesting.
I think this one is the most underrated. I'm not saying it's really high on my list. I'm just saying that people took an unnecessary shit on this one. It's
funny because I was looking over a bunch of shit, and it is, I believe, okay, so 2 and 3 it's the 4th highest IMDb rating, but I believe it's the 2nd highest Rotten Tomatoes rating for a Saw movie, while having the lowest gross for any of them after the first one.
And if I'm not mistaken, when it came out, even like horror fans really were not into this one. Yeah. They weren't. I think they were burned out by this point, which makes sense.
I think that's a big part of it, because 6 in 6 years is a lot for any fucking series to go up with.
Yeah, even if you gave 6 great movies, it's still way too much. It just is. And I'll even say this. I remember first watching it, and I was thinking, they really kind of lost their touch with this one. But once again, I feel it was burnout, because revisiting it over the past few years, I thought this one was sneaky good, sneaky smart.
One of the things that people who like it and people who didn't like it was throwing in the whole, anti-business, anti-insurance message into it. I guess they didn't want their politics and mixed in with their horror movie. But
I mean, it made sense in this particular case with John and the cancer. Like, it was a great tie-in, quite frankly, I thought.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I'll give them is, they make a dude, like we talked about in 3, who seems like he's going to be a complete and total fucking dick into a sympathetic character over the course of this one. So by the time you get to the end, it fucking probably one of the best, or at least most impactful deaths in the series. By the end of this one,
the live or die lever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the grossest too, but yeah, I don't really think like there's been a character as sympathetic who dies, over the course of the movie, that really where the death was what merited, rather than like Rig in 4 gets overshadowed by the reveal of all the shit that's going on.
This guy may have actually been the most redeemable character. Like, through his character arc, he redeemed himself slowly but surely, unlike most of these other ones.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like the reveal in this one, and at least in regards to like him. Even though it's never blatantly come out and say it, like when you get to the end, you can be like, okay, this works, because a lot of it's been powered by supposition rather than like just like 3 where it's just like, oh yeah, I kidnapped your daughter while I was going, haha.
Right. Well, if I may start off with something that I did not enjoy, the opening thing with the 2 lenders that had to cut the most flesh off. This is where I feel that torture porn, I can't even defend it because you know how much I hate that term, but I swear to God, if people want to point to Saw and say anything bad, point to that opening scene, because that was such an over-the-top thing that, they once again went a little bit more over the top in the next one for that opening trap, but
yeah, this
was terrible. I really hated that scene. It was cringeworthy to me. I don't know, did you feel the same way?
Yeah, again, this was another example of like one where it doesn't feel like the punishment meets the crime kind of thing. Like these 2 sold bad loans, so we're gonna make them have to cut their fucking arms off and murder. One of them's gonna die. Like that's one of the things too that like has changed as the series evolved. But like in the ones that James and Lee wrote, you might have somebody sitting in judgment on you, but it wasn't like A or B, like one person is going to die in order to make it out of this.
Right.
Which is something that they went to later on in the series when you got the different writers.
Yeah. I will say that I don't know if this was a nod or anything like that, but I mean, William was the head of the Umbrella insurance company, and I immediately thought of Resident Evil.
Yeah, I did too.
There was something else in either like part 3 or part 4 that there was like a nod to like another horror thing, and I can't remember it. Every once in a while I'll catch you like little nods that I didn't pick up on earlier. But what was it? He also John was bragging about his methods. I kind of enjoyed John, like how he was bragging about how like he helped Amanda or whatever. I don't know. I just like John Kramer. I think there's nobody better in the franchise, and that's why he's the star of it. Even though he died after part 3, John just owned it. Almost every scene that he was ever in, Tobin Bell owned it. I felt.
Yeah, no, he did a really good job, and like the voice with Jigsaw is just. That's what sells it. That's what makes it work.
God, we're 2 films beyond it. I think. Are we 2? Was it part 4 where we saw Cecil do his knife trap?
Yeah, it was part 4.
All right, I would say that was one of the single most brutal ones, because I don't know about you, but I'm sitting there watching it and I'm actually feeling it as I'm watching it, and I'm like. Because I can't imagine what it'd be like to have my arm twisted. I can imagine what it'd be like to have 8 knives cut my face at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. At the same time, though, I think that possibly is one of the ones that is survivable without, like, permanent
Totally
maiming.
survivable. Let's see. So here was something that bothered me. Hank, the janitor guy, he's in like one of the first trap with William.
The breathing, yeah.
And I'm just like, Hank's only crime was that he was a smoker, from what I gathered.
Yeah.
Is that the worst excuse to have somebody like I can't think of anybody that got more mistreated. He just smoked.
Oh yeah, I mean, like this one, they were. Oh, think about the next one with the people on the barbed wire hanging.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like her only thing was like she was diabetic and his secretary.
Yeah, and the other guy was just a young up and comer, right?
In that case, both of us would be fucking dead.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like at this point, you see, like, okay, they don't have any justification for fucking.
It was simply about punishing William, and they didn't really write in good reasons to be punishing the other people.
Yeah.
What was next? Was it the carousel one, or was it the lawyer one? It
was the lawyer.
I think that lawyer, the boiler room or steam room trap maze thing, I think that was one of the 5 best ones in the whole franchise.
Yeah,
I thought
that was a really
great.
good one too. I think even the carousel one was pretty good. Like, they really haven't one where, like, since 3 where people were like begging and like a shit ton of people begging and pleading, you know.
I mean, I was sad to see Eddie Winslow get got, but
yeah,
the last guy, how whiny he was and how pissed off he was fucking hilarious to me.
I'm not gonna lie, that would have been me. You know, look at me as you fucking kill me.
It was so over the top dramatic, and yeah, like it was great. Like that guy nailed that role so well. I don't know who he was, but he was awesome. I loved the carousel.
What do you think about Hoffman kind of turning into the Terminator? Like the scene where he takes out fucking 3 FBI agents.
Yeah. Over the top ridiculousness, but enjoyable simultaneously, if that makes any sense.
And on the other hand, if you're pretty sure that Hoffman is a bad guy, and you're trying to catch, do you go into like a room with only like one for sure agent and like another tech agent, without like having like a bunch of people standing by like outside the fucking door in case something like that happens?
Hell no, because you're sitting there seeing his body count and thinking, this dude's on another level, right?
Yeah. Like it always amazes me when like people go to confront the bad guy and they don't fucking like. He's killed fucking 70 dudes, and I'm gonna pretend that, you know, I'm gonna be the one to take him down and stop. No, I'm gonna have the SWAT team in there. I'm gonna have fucking FBI. I'm gonna have a fucking brute squad from fucking Princess Bride.
Wow, now you're really bringing the noise and the funk.
I'm on the brute squad. You are the brute squad.
Like, yeah, don't try being Johnny Badass. Like, too many people want to be the hero, or it's not worth it, because you can't be the hero if you're dead. I mean, I guess you can go down as the hero, but you can't be the hero because you no longer exist. Right?
Yep.
Wow. I love my note here. I must have had one hell of a typo, because I have carousel is Alamo amazing. Pretty sure I was going for also, but Alamo is there, so good stuff by me. Now, All right. As much as I like the boiler room thing, I swear I was annoyed at how like he was like go go go. The only thing that would make that a little bit better was just a little bit better communication between the two, and I would have really enjoyed it way more.
I mean, if we want to talk about bad communication between people, let's wait for the next one.
Fair enough. Also, in part 3, I think it was, maybe it was part 2. There was one scene when I think it was part 2, when the SWAT team shows up to the house, and obviously it's all pre-taped, and you just hear one guy say go at least 20 times in such a short period of time. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, everybody's pretty amped, okay? You don't have to say go, 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 go. Oh my god, I just wanted to backhand him, even though I know he'd kill me. But I still would have done it, possibly.
Yeah. I like the kind of sideways like deflecting that they did with the acid too, where you think it's going to be like killing either of the two rooms.
Yeah. I thought, as you said, like the whole end thing with the family deciding was really, really well done. Were you thinking that the boy was going to pull it versus the lady?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say I didn't see that coming, because I could have seen both of them pulling it, but like he was so fucking ready to pull it, like how many times, like 3 or 4 times over the course of the movie.
If this was any other franchise, I would have bet anything that the female would have done it, because this is horror and that's a thing that they do. But as they showcased in at least Saw 2, there's like this weird sympathy for like the son, and I was just like, I think it's going to be him for once. Also, fun fact, Saw 1 is one of the only horror movies with like a high body count where no female dies. Think about that.
Yeah, the final girl turns out to be a bad guy.
Yeah. How badass? Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say, on the other hand, like the part with Hoffman, like you could see that coming from a mile away.
Him escaping the bear?
Not necessarily him escaping, but the fact that he was the 6th target.
Oh yeah, yeah. That seemed. I loved him escaping though.
That was badass. That was gangsta.
Another thing I really liked was that they established that Amanda was Cecil the night of.
Yeah, I mean, it only took him 6 movies to get back to 3 movies to refer back to Saw 3.
Yeah, I'm still okay with it because it was a good plot point, but I'm sitting there thinking like, how many times are you going to keep bringing Shawnee Smith back?
Almost as many times as they're going to bring Tobin Bell back.
And I'm okay with all of that. I'm just all in. All the time. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Like, I just found this to be a much better than...
Way better than it deserved to be.
For a part 6? Yeah. It really was. It was an impressive feat, and I'll tell you another part 6 that was surprisingly strong, and you probably won't believe me, but that's okay. Children of the Corn part 6 was surprisingly strong, because they brought back Isaac. They brought back, what was his name? John Franklin, I think his real name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't stand that franchise, and then part 6 happened. I'm like, all right, you guys did something okay here. So, I got nothing else on part 6. I don't know if you do.
No, that's pretty much it, yeah.
Cool. All right, so part 7, or Saw 3D, which I saw in the theater.
This is the nadir of the fucking series.
Yeah, this... This is the first time. I just want to say, this is the first time I saw a Saw movie in the theater, believe it or not, and I picked this one.
I'm sorry.
I picked this one. I took Raylene to see it with me. I got super excited because I'm like, well, they're going to end it cool. And then I got worried because they added the 3D shit to it. And when has a horror movie been better because of the 3D?
When has any movie been better because of the 3D?
I'll offer one that I can think of. And that. Shut your fool mouth. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to say. No. Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. They only used the 3D glasses like for 2 scenes, so it was kept minimalized. Or minimized. I don't know why it wasn't minimalized. They kept it minimized so that it wasn't like this overwhelming thing where you see it like in so many 3D horror movies where they just keep throwing stupid lame thing after stupid lame thing into it. They kept it pretty mild, and I'll appreciate that for them. I've never understood the 3D film craze because I saw a few in the theater and I saw like the animated Alice in Wonderland. I think like Johnny Depp was involved with it. Meh.
Yeah, no, like one of my the guys I worked with is really big into 3D gaming, and he's like, "Why don't you like it?" I'm like, "Because anytime I put it on to be comfortable, I have to take off my glasses, in which case I can't see."
Yep, it's
and wearing that shit over them is uncomfortable.
It really is. Yeah.
So, anyways, to make this shitty movie short, but I don't think we'll be able to. You've got a dude who pretended to profit off of Jigsaw victimhood. You know, there's a couple scenes in here that I find interesting, like the beginning trap. Like I look at it and I'm like, this guy, did he enlist a collector for help in order to be able to get this shit done in public with nobody seeing it in like overnight?
Oh, that opening. That okay. So we're talking about the 2 guys and the lady hanging above, right?
Yep.
All I will say is that Dinah. Fortunately, they did it well enough where Dinah was horrible the whole time, so you're sitting there hoping that they finally come to grips. But most of the time, I'm sitting there thinking, nope, they're just going to be stupid and not kill her. So it was kind of refreshing that they did the right thing.
I would say that was... I wouldn't say necessarily a right thing. I mean, somebody lying to me doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, being cut in half with a fucking table saw is... You know?
Given the circumstances that somebody in that room was going to die, I was okay with it being her. I'll go that far, even though, exactly. Yes, I don't think that any of those 3 deserve to die, but I don't think a lot of the people in these films deserve to die, but...
Yeah, because, I mean, like, you were going from, like, drug dealers and rapists and murderers to she cheated on her boyfriends.
And a guy who smoked.
Yeah.
And watching this in the theater, I could tell... You could legitimately feel the energy just being swept out of the theater really fast. It was really interesting to just... There wasn't a ton of people in the theater. There was enough, though, because I think we went opening weekend or the following weekend. And, yeah, like, the buzz was strong heading in, and then you just see that, and it really just... whoosh. I don't know. It's fun to watch in hindsight, but when you're in the theater and your expectations are high, not so good start.
Dude, they spent the most in this out of all of them, and it did okay, but not great compared to what all the other ones did.
Right, makes sense.
But you can see like how much of it was spent on the fucking 3D craze. You know, you look at the quality of the actors and actresses, and just, you know, again, it was like they were scraping the fucking like fucking soap operas instead of you know, hiring people who had like their SAG card. Like,
right.
The script is weak. Like the guy who they got to be their like new police dude, like I've seen him in other shit and he's been good. But, like, in this, Gibbs, he was fucking just, like, bad. It's like acting by numbers.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that sentiment. I didn't mind the guy playing Bobby. Like,
No, because Sean Patrick Flannery is a good actor. He just his career has gone downhill to the point where like he just gets the only thing he gets offered is shitty shit. I mean, that was the dude who played fucking young Indiana Jones. So
wasn't he also one half of Boondock Saints?
yeah, Boondock Saints. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like his work and some of the things I've seen, but I haven't seen him in hardly anything in the past 20 years, I would say. So, yeah, I thought his performance was strong, and actually, like you said, I liked the idea that some guy was trying to be famous off of it, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but my God, one of the best scenes in the whole thing was when John Kramer goes for the autograph.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off during that. That makes me laugh every time, I think.
And one of the other scenes I like, and this is more for its like, callbacks and whatnot, but is the support group where you see all the survivors from the previous movies.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing I was going to bring up too, is like one of the only positives. And yeah, it was a nice callback that they brought in. Did they bring back the dude's secretary? Was she one of them?
Yep, she was one of them.
The armless lady, right?
Yeah, the armless lady, Britt, and what's his name from
Five?
From Five, yeah. The other guy.
Melik.
So, yeah, obviously he survived because
right.
He was there. Pretty much it.
Right.
And then Dr. Gordon.
Dr. Gordon, it was nice. I mean, I knew he was in it because IMDb and news sites at that point, but I was still excited to see how they were going to bring him.
That he comes back and it's for this one.
And I liked how they were like, all right, so how many ways can we tie him into all the previous ones where he was hating us? And they did a good job, like with the eye, and the key and all like any of the surgical stuff. Like it made sense that they had somebody that knew that because John was an engineer; he wasn't medical.
Yeah,
and Jill certainly wasn't helping in that regard. So, how was
so okay? Sorry, before we go on, let's talk about Jill for a second.
Okay,
because in 4, in the flashbacks, she wants nothing to do with John once she realizes that he's fucking murdering people as a serial killer.
That's right.
And then he leaves her a box, and she decides, okay, I'm going to fucking put this game into play so innocent people get killed. And I'm going to put my own life on the risk because I'm going to try to kill Hoffman by myself. Like, why do you do that? You got the money. You're completely separated. You don't have to worry about fucking being implicated as a fucking accomplice in anything.
She was scot-free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to go fucking put yourself on the line?
I feel that they liked her as an actress, and I think that they said, all right, this box is like our golden ticket. We can do whatever we want moving forward and just use that as a dumping ground of ideas. And it was probably I don't even want to say probably, it was a poor decision. And yeah, the weird thing is I have a soft spot for her character in 4 and 5. And then I start losing my soft spot for her. I'm just, because I'm of the same mindset. Yeah. I was just like, she lost her baby in a horrible way. She seemed like too nice of a person, and she went from that to, I don't know if sadistic is the right word, but I'm going to use it. Yeah.
I mean, she's shown having horror over what her ex-husband was doing, and then she just voluntarily decides to participate in it. And
this is as good a time as any, but how bad was the fake Jill death? Like the dream or whatever that was.
Yeah,
that was cringeworthy, man. My
wife turned to me when we were watching. She's like, "Is this really happening?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure it's a dream."
Yeah, it was like they could have tried a little bit harder to set it up where it was a little believable. Like, I imagine children may not have known it, but probably children shouldn't be watching this. Probably.
And the other thing I'll bring up is, like, what a waste to use, like, Chester Bennington in his only movie appearance to not say fucking anything. Well, that was an interesting scene.
Do I know him?
He's the lead singer from Linkin Park, and he was the guy who was glued to the car in the skinhead garage scene.
Okay. Well, I thought that whole scene was just an absolute waste of time in a way to try to incorporate more 3D stuff. And I definitely noted, and I know this is a discussion for later, but I did happen to note, I'm like, out of all these traps, this one wasn't impossible. I didn't think.
Like to me, like, in addition to just weaker casting and shit, all of a sudden we got, like, Wile E. fucking Coyote kind of shit. Like,
yeah, we really did.
The machine gun fucking popping up out of nowhere, and just, I'm like, I don't know. As soon as I see a fucking gun pointed, I drop to the ground, like, instead of just fucking standing there. And it was only firing at, like, one plane. So I'm like, all you had to do is, not be standing 6 inches in the air. You would have been good. Or the chlorine tablets.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned Wile E. Coyote, and I just need to take 10 seconds to get on my soapbox and say, fuck these people for taking away the gun from Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam. That is one of the dumbest decisions. In a year full of really bad decisions, that rate's right up there. Getting off my soapbox now.
And then, on the other hand, the traps are pretty fucking good in this one. Well, minus the audio one with the fucking fish hook in the stomach.
I was going to say, how did you feel about the whole idea that the 3 traps were representative of the 3 wise monkeys? Did you like that idea?
The 3 wise monkeys?
The see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
I didn't even think about it up until this point.
Okay. So what do you think about it now that you've heard it?
Yeah, I'm really glad I never had a fish hook shoved down my throat and had to be yanked up. On the other hand, like the one with the chick where he just had to hold the circuit open for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, there was nothing making him have to stand in it with, like, underneath the like, why didn't he just stand back and just lift it and then, like, lock his arms and his legs?
I have a feeling that if I look back at my original Saw review, I think I actually made that comment, because there's zero reason why you would just stand there like that. Now, he may have needed a little bit more support underneath him, but still, I feel like it couldn't have been that heavy. So I feel like...
Yeah, like if he needed to be able to, like, have his feet and his arms at the same time, like, why not twist your body? I'm doing it in my chair right now. I know you can't see me, but, like, so you're not stabbing yourself at the same time you're fucking holding it up with your,
Yeah, there was any number of solutions to that. And, honestly, though, I kind of thought, I know that the fishhook thing would kill, but I also feel that I could possibly stifle my screams of pain if I knew it was going to get me killed. How do you feel about that?
I don't. I mean, that's, like, I'm thinking it's tearing up your stomach, it's tearing up your esophagus. That's if you can even get it. Like, I think that's a death no matter what. The other 2, I think, would have been possible, but I think that one's going to kill you.
Oh, I don't think the third one was remotely possible, because just throwing the key at somebody who's off balance and can't see anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't trust myself to make that throw or make that catch. I put myself in all these scenarios, because that's what I do when I watch these stupid things, and I think, is there any way I'm surviving this? And in that particular one, there was no way I would have survived it, but maybe other people would have been able to. It's just, I would not have been able to.
I mean, it came so close. That one came down to his fucking shitty ass throw. I probably would have overhanded it instead of trying to underhand it in there.
Oh, okay. I definitely would
Either
have.
that or I would have been like, dude, hold your shirt out instead of just your hands.
Thank you. That is the one thing. Like, he could have made a bigger catching surface, if you will, and the shirt would have. Yeah. What'd you think about the pectoral hook? Do you think that was doable?
Dude, you don't have to. I wanted to be like, all you needed to do was to make sure that there was tension on those two hooks. So, I don't know, hook them together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just pull yourself up. Like, if you don't think you're going to be able to do it, stand inside the two hooks. You know, turn your feet sideways so you're not stabbing yourself. I don't know, put them through your fucking denim jeans that are going to hold longer than your fucking pectoral muscles are.
Yeah. That one was really silly, and yet you knew the whole time that was going to be the end all, right? Like, you knew that was...
You know. And then like one of the things I was reading, says, like, this dude's wife's only crime is that she married him. She didn't know any of the stuff like the other people did.
Right.
And she gets like one of the worst deaths in the entire fucking series.
Absolutely felt horrible for that girl. Like, that is such... I mean, that was an Obi type death. Like, oh, no, that's not okay. Like, they gave her that bad... If you give her an instant death, I'm still going to feel bad for her, but at least it's an instant death. That's not okay. Not at all.
No.
Were you cool with them, like... Do you feel that they overused the reverse bear trap at this point? Or was it fitting?
By the time it got to 6, I think it had been overused, but I think it was fitting in this one, considering that how it was used in 6. And I was always kind of curious as to what it would look like.
Right.
Now I know.
Because we never saw it work before that, right?
Right, just on the mannequins.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing that I come to, though, is like how many fucking people were, like, happy that Jigsaw fucking tortured the shit out of them. Like, this dude has so many fucking disciples. You're just like, what the fuck?
It's amazing to think, like, had Amanda kept her head on straight, had Hoffman not been a maniac, and Gordon... Actually, Gordon just seemed pretty even-keeled. Like, imagine the destruction they could have had had they been able to coexist and work together. Like, that would have been crazy. Wouldn't have been good drama. It would have been just more, Devil's Rejects than a Saw film, but it would have been interesting and hypothetical. I loved the ending, where, like, possibly one of my favorite things of this whole film was right at the end when Lawrence just kicks the hacksaw away, because he knows that Hoffman will go to any lengths.
Yep.
And, like, that's one thing I admired about Hoffman. Like, his resiliency was top notch. And I do believe he would have cut his foot off had he had the opportunity. So, yep. I liked it. I liked that.
Yeah, I like the ending.
It just...
I like the tie back and the callback to the very first one.
It still just wasn't enough, though, for me to like the movie. I
agree. It's like, even bad Saw is better than a lot of horror out there, but this is definitely bad Saw.
I think we're in agreement that this is the worst. I'm thinking we're in agreement?
Yes. Okay. This is the bottom of the barrel.
Okay. I had to get super high-pitched there just for a moment, because I wasn't certain. Okay. We good to move on?
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else to go over with that one.
Okay. Finally, the movie that I don't have a whole lot to add to because I didn't get much time. I misutilized my time. Let me rephrase that. I misutilized my time. So you're going to carry the bulk of this, and I'm going to add a little bit here and there.
This just... It didn't feel like enough. Like, it's not a bad movie. Per se, we're talking about Jigsaw now. It was 7 years between 7 and 8, but it to me it didn't justify itself. Like 7 could have ended it and it would have been fun or fine, and it would have been just the whole thing is complete.
Now I'm assuming you didn't see this like in the theater, right?
I did not know.
I'll say this: it's one of those movies that I would not have thought would benefit from the theatrical experience, but really it was way better in the theater than it was in the home viewing it. And maybe it's just because I knew what was going on, but I honestly feel like just the theatrical experience, for whatever reason, helped this film in some weird way.
Like I said, it's not a bad movie at all. Like, one of the things I liked about it was the fact that they actually used a real color palette for the whole thing instead of just doing the stylish like green filter.
Yes, that was different for them, no doubt. Did you find it predictable as far as the two very different time frames? Because I thought that was very predictable if you're a Saw fan.
No, again, I wasn't. I was interested enough to be into it just to like live in it and watch it. Like, looking back on it, yeah, I mean the whole thing when you see the fucking dude with the bucket and the bucket's still on his head, but his head's been halfway decapitated. Immediately, you know that there's something fucking going on.
Right. What'd you think about... Alright, I guess this is a question. I don't remember the guy's name or anything. The dude that decided to inject the girl with all 3 needles. Was that the smart... First of all, if you were in the girl's position, would you have just tried picking one, or...
I'm pretty sure that if there's one that's got like 16 fucking digits on it, one that's got like 8 digits, and then one that's the exact amount that was in the fucking purse that I stole, I would probably inject that one into me. You know, what is the cost of a life?
Right.
But yeah, like that dude, like, they had no other choice. Like, she was being a fucking, lack of a better word, cunt towards them.
Agreed.
Yeah. And like, if it's going to kill everybody or potentially only kill you, yeah, sometimes you have to man up, and you're going to die one way or the other.
In that scenario, yeah, you're most likely going to die, so just take the chance, because you may be fine. Because only one of them was going to kill her, right?
Well, I mean, if Jigsaw wasn't lying, but yeah, only one of them was going to kill her.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. And, like, I know I'm bouncing here and there and everywhere like a gummy bear, but what'd you feel about, like, the silo? I don't know. That was a silo, right?
Yeah. It was okay. Like, I know that one thing people bitched about when this one came out, for the people who didn't like it, was they were like, oh, the traps weren't gory enough. I'm like, well, like, okay, yeah, you didn't see anybody really get fucked up on the door. But, like, they pretty much showed her fucking melting out of her ears with the fucking acid.
Yeah.
You know, the other dude, Ryan, his leg gets dissected three spots, and you fucking see, like, the dissection of the fucking individual parts. Like, I would have eaten that calf.
Fair enough.
The chick Anna who shoots the gun that explodes her head, yeah, you see fucking half of her face shot off with a shotgun. The other dude at the beginning, when they blow his hand up, you fucking hand explodes, and you see. So I mean, yes and no.
There was enough there, and I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like at least half the Saw fan base was going there to see what the story was, not so much the blood and guts.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck's going on with John Kramer?
Yeah, like how is he somehow making a comeback. So yeah. By the way, the girl with the shotgun, Jesus Christ, what a dumbass.
It's the key to your... well, the problem with us is, like, after 7 movies, we know you listen to John Kramer when he says something. When it's always the first time for all the people in there, they're like, oh, that's what he meant.
Right, like, you don't get that. It's more a trick of words, I suppose, a little wordplay, but, man, as I was just sitting there, I'm like, you just didn't... I don't know. Obviously, she didn't need to, and... yeah, as fans, we knew better, but man, that was a little cringeworthy for me, just that decision, I suppose. I really liked the girl that played Eleanor.
She was, weird.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was part of the reason I liked her. I don't know. Actually, I liked her in The Purge TV series as well. I thought she was pretty decent there.
Like I will say this, I think that this is probably one of the most attractive Saw casts.
Yes, they
between Eleanor and Anna and
Carly, right?
Carly, yeah.
Which, honestly, like in the Saw franchise, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really don't care about the attractiveness because I'm all for the grimy aspects.
Yeah, exactly.
But simultaneously, I did, as I've already mentioned in part 3, I did happen to notice how, good, the ladies looked. So, yeah, it was a nice little perk, no doubt. After seeing it, did you feel that the franchise should have come to an end?
I did. It didn't really offer anything that we hadn't seen. It was an apprentice of Jigsaw that nobody knew about, who had already undergone something that happened non-chronological order. Just murking some dude,
It broke no new ground whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just retreading.
And that's a thing. Spiral has to break some new ground, and I think they're going to. I'm hoping that they're going to, based on how excited the executives were about Chris Rock just presenting them with an idea out of the blue.
Yeah, I mean, even from what we've seen with just the trailer, I mean, the fact that it seems if this dude is Jigsaw or an apprentice or, whatever they're going with for this one, I mean, just targeting the police is already something different than what we've seen in the other ones.
Right. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's weird because I liked Jigsaw. I really did, but simultaneously, it was really unnecessary. It was just kind of like a nice helping of nostalgia, and that was fine with me. But
again, it wasn't bad. It just...
It wasn't bad simultaneously. I don't know, just making a guess here when we do our list here, like, I don't know, I'm just guessing it's not going to be even in the top half for either of us because it just doesn't fit the mold.
It's middle of the road.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to add because, like I said, I didn't do much and I haven't seen it in at least a year or two, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really much to add. Oh, okay. The one thing I'll say is just the very first time I watched it like literally 2 days after I watched the Goon movies. I don't know if you've ever seen those with Sean William Scott.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. No, I've never seen it. Or them.
Anyways, the guy who plays Halloran is the owner of the hockey team in the second one. And I was like, that guy's got a really weird and unique name. I'm pretty sure I'm going to remember it when I see him in something else down the road. And then like 2 days later, I saw Jigsaw, and I'm like, okay, yep, I remembered his name.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. How do you even pronounce that? Callum?
Yeah, like Callum Keith Rennie.
Yeah, that's a good name. Oh, he was in Memento. He was Dodd in Memento.
Yeah, he's actually been in a lot of stuff, but he's one of those people who like bit parts until you hit semi big in something, and then you'll have slightly juicier parts. But
Right. Huh. Yeah, he was in 10 episodes of Man in High Castle, so that's something I still haven't watched, but, well, he got credited for a few. Whatever. I still want to watch it.